So the top right-hand side of the slide that you've just seen, there is the very top right was talking about individuals and small groups. This is when we're working on ourselves, when we're coaching or mentoring an individual, or when we might be designing a very deep intervention for a small group of people. And that could be a very small team that have to work very deeply together on a particular element of transformation and change. So this is where these two elements are really, really important. So the first one is what we call a habit cycle. Not going to go into that today. I'm going to bring that into one of the weekly moments in future weeks. But what I want to do is I want to focus in on the right-hand side. Now, before I focus in on the right-hand side, what I also want to do is I also want to give you a visual connection. If you remember the earlier slide that I showed you, which was the 45% on the left unconscious practice and the 55% on the right side, which was conscious practice, that visually overlays on what you've got here. So the habit cycle is what we use to shift our own unconscious practice individually, or when we're coaching or mentoring another person, or when we're working with a group of people, a small group of people that have to work deeply on an element of change and transformation together. We want to work with them in that element. And the 55%, which is conscious practice, is what we work on with the power up. And the power up is fantastic because it's very closely aligned to an element of modern leadership competency, which you may have heard of, which is called flow practice. And flow practice, when we get into flow, time and space drop away. We're able to increase our focus to the point where we can work at speeds that for some people would be unimaginable in normal daily life. So the ability to start working in the space of powering up our day gives us the beginning foundation of something that we can start working on, which is flow practice. And flow practice is something really important for leaders like yourselves and practitioners in change and transformation, because come on, you know, how much do we need to do? How much is the system asking of us? There's always this sense of more. There's always this sense of expansion in terms of requirements when it comes to change and transformation. And the key thing is we can do more with less. And one of the ways that we can do more with less is in flow practice. So let's dig into this power up a little bit more. I'll come back to that slide in a moment. The power up is really important because the power up and the habit cycle are elements that we should ensure that we, as leaders of change, our team as practitioners of change, our leaders as the drivers and the supporters, the sponsors, and actually, the key role models of change, and the wider collective need to be involved in. The thing that I can't stress enough is this: when you're in the world of change and transformation, and it doesn't matter whether it's learning and development, whether it's change practice, projects and programs, it's irrelevant. But so often we see ourselves as providers of expertise and of domain. And we focus our design and we focus all of our efforts on the collective, so the people, the end users. That's wrong. What we ought to be doing is understanding ourselves as part of that system, even if we're an external consultant, even if we're external to the organization, the culture. We should see ourselves as part of the whole system and therefore participate in it. So one provocation, one thought I want to give to you now is, if there is a program, a project or a program that you're working on at the moment, are you thinking of yourself as a participant in that? Or are you thinking of yourself as a provider of expertise to deliver that? And what I'd say to you is, try and make it the former as a participant. Because if you make yourself a participant in change and transformation, it's one of those key elements. So everything I'm talking about here is so incredibly important in terms of your own profile, your own ability to succeed in change and transformation. So this